In a world wrapped in dazzling stages, relentless spotlights, and crowds that cheer in unison, it's easy to fall into the illusion that success is built only in front of the cameras, the glamour that fills social media, the trophies displayed in golden cases, and the million-dollar contracts signed with luxury pens create a seductive narrative that fame is the final destination, the peak of effort, the crowning of victory. But what if there were stories never told? Stories that don't shine, don't go viral, don't earn hashtags, but that hold the truest parts of an artist? Among so many made-up faces, rehearsed speeches, and perfect smiles, there are hearts beating in silence. Hearts that carry promises made far from the public eye. In humble homes, in small rooms, in whispered conversations between mother and son. Jungkook, the acclaimed Maknae of BTS, is seen by millions as a global phenomenon. Singer, dancer, producer, fashion icon, and inspiration to youth around the world. His moves are copied, his voice is cheered, his words become headlines. But behind the grandeur of the name Jungkook is a boy who started his journey with something incredibly pure, the desire to give back. Long before the fame, before the applause, before even knowing what it meant to be a K-pop idol, Jungkook made a silent promise, not to the world, but to one person, his mother. A strong, resilient, humble woman with an unshakable heart. She was the first to hear his voice, the first to see him clumsily dancing in the hallway, the first to say, "You can do it." And it was for her that he decided not to give up, even when his body begged for rest, when his mind said, "I can't take it," when loneliness consumed him in the silence of the trainee dorms. Jungkook's story didn't start in stadiums or award shows, not even on BTS's debut day. It began long before, among the modest streets of Busan, where a skinny little boy ran barefoot, feet dirty, heart full of dreams he didn't yet know how to name. What he did know was that he loved to sing. He loved seeing his mother's face light up when he made up melodies using household items, or when he danced in front of the TV. She laughed, she clapped, and each laugh was like an invisible push. "Go, my son, you can do it." It was in that environment, filled with affection, effort, and hope, that Jungkook learned what real love is. Not the idealized love from fairy tales, but the kind of love that packs a lunch with leftovers to ensure the child is fed, that works extra hours to pay school fees, that smiles even when everything is falling apart. That love shaped Jungkook. That love was his first melody. And it's that hidden love, behind the stages, that explains so much of who he is today. There's no way to understand Jungkook without understanding the invisible yet unbreakable bond with his mother. It's there, in that quiet relationship, where his real strength lies. While the world screamed his name, she whispered advice. While he trembled backstage at his first audition, it was her gaze that mentally guided him. No audience in the world could mean more than her pride. And with that motivation, he dove headfirst into a world where nothing was guaranteed. The K-pop industry is ruthless. Criticism comes fast. Comparisons are constant. But inside Jungkook, there was something unshakable, the voice of the woman who raised him. It was that voice he heard on the long days, when soul's cold cut through him, when training ended in exhaustion. Always her, the memory that kept his heart warm. And it was for her that he endured. Long before packed arenas, global live streams, and wax figures in celebrity museums, there was a simple house in Busan. The smell of fresh rice mingled with the sound of children's laughter. In that small but lively home, a boy named Jungkook began shaping his earliest dreams. In that space with peeling walls, an old TV, and a fan louder than it was effective, there was something time could never erode: love. Jungkook grew up surrounded by a kind of love that isn't taught in books, but felt in touch, in glances, in presence. His mother didn't have material wealth, but she held a treasure many rich families never know: absolute dedication. She woke up before sunrise, prepared breakfast, washed clothes, balanced impossible bills, and still found time to sit next to her son and listen to him hum. Tired? Yes. Exhausted? Often, but always there. When Jungkook came home from school, eyes downcast for being too shy to answer a question in class, she made him laugh with silly jokes. When he said he wanted to be a singer, dancer, artist, she listened carefully, not as someone feeding a fantasy, but as someone recognizing the spark of a calling. And that listening meant everything. In a world that silences sensitive children, she heard him. In a world that demands toughness, she valued his softness. She was the one who made Jungkook believe he could. He didn't grow up in an environment where dreams came easy. Everything took sacrifice. A new pair of sneakers was a luxury. Eating out was rare. But none of that stopped his imagination from soaring, because she made him believe he was capable. She was the mom who danced with him in the kitchen, the mom who laughed at his silly videos filmed with a phone, the mom who, even exhausted, sat to watch him mimic boy group choreographies. And over time, it stopped being just a game. It became a plan, a purpose, a life. The decision to move to Seoul was hard for both. He was just a boy, she, just a mother. But there was courage in both. He boarded a bus with a suitcase and a heavy heart. She stood on the sidewalk waving, trying to memorize the last glimpse of her son, still a child. In his coat pocket, he carried a piece of the world he was leaving behind, a letter. Writing that letter had hurt her more than any words could describe, but it was necessary. In it, she placed her faith, her fears, her advice, and her love. It was a goodbye, yes, but also a reminder. You'll never be alone. And so he went. 15 years old, alone in a city that doesn't forgive naivety. He slept on thin mattresses, shared rooms with other trainees, trained until his body screamed in pain. He missed the smell of her cooking, her voice, the feeling of safety. But he read the letter every night and cried silently, ashamed to seem weak. The world was asking too much of him, but he had promised too much to her to give up. Each step taken in those cold training studios brought him closer to fulfilling the promise he made with his eyes. I'll make you proud, Mom. And every night before sleeping, he read her letter, now crumpled, corners worn, stained with old tears. But it was his anchor. Her words echoed like a mantra. Even if no one believes in you, I do. You are my star. Don't let the world dim your light. Years of grueling training, of auditions, rejections, physical and emotional pain. But he endured. Not out of pride, not out of vanity, but because he wanted to honor the sacrifice of the woman who always believed in him. He wanted every sleepless night, every hand-stitched shirt, every lovingly prepared meal to be worth it. When BTS finally debuted in 2013, Jungkook was just 15, practically a child trying to survive an ocean of expectation. The early years were rough, few wins, many harsh comments, criticisms that felt like blows. But even then, he didn't complain. He was focused, determined to grow, to evolve, to not waste the opportunity he'd been given. He learned to sing better, to dance with precision, to understand video production, to speak English. And whenever he could, he called his mom, sometimes just to hear her voice, sometimes to share a good day or vent about a bad one. In all those moments, she repeated, "I'm here, my son. Go for it. I'm watching you from here." When the money started coming in, Jungkook didn't rush to buy cars, fancy clothes, or luxury. His first move was to care for the one who cared for him. Quietly, he sent money to his mother. When the house needed repairs, he took care of everything. When her back hurt, he sent a massage chair. When she got sick, he asked for time off to see her, all without fanfare, without posts or stories, because it was too sacred to be shared. It was a love that didn't need an audience. Jungkook used to say to close friends, "I'll only consider myself truly successful when my mom never has to carry a shopping bag again." While the world imagined him buying a luxury triplex in Seoul, he chose to build something special in Busan, a house just for his mother. He helped design the floor plan, chose the furniture, decorated the rooms, and paid special attention to the kitchen because he remembered what she used to say when he was little. The kitchen is where a mother spends most of her life. There were no pictures, no interviews, no videos, because that house wasn't for the world. It was a gift. A home, a thank you built with bricks and memory. Even with growing fame, Jungkook kept his rituals. He called his mom after every concert, sent handwritten letters on special dates, and made sure to be present, somehow, even from the other side of the world. Several HYBE staff members shared touching stories. After major awards, like his first Daesung, Jungkook would sometimes disappear for a few minutes. One time, he was seen backstage alone, eyes red, holding his phone and whispering, "We did it, Mom. We really did." He never posted it. Never used it as marketing, because some things are too big for the internet. In interviews, he never talked about money sent to his family, the medicine, the bills paid, or the gifts. When asked the secret to his success, he simply said, "My mom, she's my hero." And it was true. No script. No PR team wrote that. It was just a son's heart speaking. For years, many fans didn't know the depth of Jungkook's bond with his mother. Slowly, it was revealed, through small gestures, behind-the-scenes stories, old interview details. By the time they noticed, it was too late. They weren't just looking at an idol, but at an exceptional son. Jungkook has always been the Golden Maknae, BTS's prodigy. But above all, he was, and still is, a boy from Busan trying to make his mom smile. And he did. Yes, he built an empire, but he also built a bridge between two hearts, his and hers. He carried her dreams alongside his own, and even though he flew high, he never let go of the ground he came from. He didn't just give her the world, he gave her the world's love. And that's why, the next time you see Jungkook shining on stage, remember, behind that intense gaze, that powerful voice, and those steady steps, there's a heart that never forgot where it came from. A son who kept his promise. A boy who grew up but never stopped being her child. Because at the heart of every legend, there's a love story. And for Jungkook, that love has always had one name, Mom.